September 4th, he was found dead less than a mile away from that party on the side of a rural highway. He was naked, except for his shoes. And to this day, neither Noah's family nor the police know how he got there.
Shocking update on the brutally beaten body of the teen found naked on a highway in Oklahoma.
Noah Presgrove was only wearing shoes when his body was discovered on a deserted stretch of US 81 near Terrell, Oklahoma.
The tragic mystery case of Noah Presgrove took an unexpected turn when the local driver, who was the first eyewitness of the teen's messed up body, broke his silence. Stay tuned as we reveal the disturbing twists and turns on the tragic end of the 19-year-old military aspirant, a case that even the FBI hasn't been able to resolve for over a year. On September 4th, 2023, the Oklahoma police received a dreadful call, reporting a naked dead body at the side of a deserted stretch of US 81 highway near Terrell, Oklahoma. The body was later identified to be of Noah Presgrove, who had suddenly gone missing in the middle of the night from a huge birthday party happening just a mile away from where he was found.
And that four-day party turned into something awful that happened within just a short hour time span for him.
At the end of the day, what we know is that he lost his life. He was found on the side of the highway, and it appears that he was dumped there. And someone knows what happened, and we want to know what happened.
The event was heavily documented on all social media pages and lasted about 4 days, yet no one knew where Noah had gone and how he ended up in such a horrifying state.
They're not investigating it as a murder. There's so many other things that they are able to classify it as, so maybe they have just made some progress and were able to give us that kind of update.
Later in the investigation, Oklahoma police in Jefferson County announced they were no longer investigating Noah's death as murder. The news shocked many, as it was the most common possibility in everyone's mind. Not to mention, the police reports were telling the victim's family that they have several suspects in mind.
What about the family's report that police were looking at possible suspects? Do the police believe that Noah was a victim of homicide, death at the hands of another, but that it wasn't on purpose?
But if it wasn't murder, what exactly happened?
We now know that his death not being investigated as a murder, as you're saying, and there's so many people, not just his family, who are questioning why not. And Jennifer, we look at these details. His body found naked, his face so badly battered, teeth knocked out, spread around him. Help us understand why this case would not be investigated as a murder.
Natasha, it doesn't make any sense. And I understand that at least there were a lot of people with information. What have they been saying?
Noah's sister, however, seemed to be hopeful about it. She said some progress was still better than no progress, and she looked forward to how the case would unfold. On the 24th of June 2024, the case of Noah was brought to the desk again when the direct witness of Noah's dead body shared his statement in an interview with the Daily Mail. It was Tyler Hardy, a Gulfmark Energy field supervisor, who first found Noah's body and called 911 at around 5:53 a.m. He told the local cops how Presgrove was completely naked and lying in a fetal position as if shivering from the cold. He further added that the dead body was only wearing 2 different shoes and a pair of white shorts, were lying about 25 feet away from it on the road. I was the one who found the body, so yes, I can say 100% that nobody messed with Noah. I was the first person there, he said. I know who and what I saw, Hardy explains. There were certain suspicions regarding Hardy stressing so much about being the very first witness. Some suspected his possible involvement in Noah's death, while others passed it as an attempt to come into the spotlight. Hardy Tyler, a married father of 2, was driving south in a Ford F-150 pickup truck at the break of dawn to an early morning shift. It was still dark, so he had his truck's headlights on. When crossing the highway, he suddenly spotted something strange in the lights at the side of the road. He stopped to take a closer look and found the cold, dead body of a young man. He looked around to see if there was anyone else, but no one came in sight. He then inspected the body and was surprised to see barely any blood at the site.
Noah Presgrove died from blunt force injuries, but when it came to how the medical examiner believes those injuries happened, be it intentional or accidental, they couldn't make a determination.
A medical expert shared his views with the Daily Mail about the injuries present on Noah's autopsy report, which was released on May 13, 2024. It detailed severe injuries to the teen's upper body, including 10 broken ribs, serious skull, neck, and spine fractures, internal bleeding, brain and organ damage, and cuts and grazes all over his body. With this level of trauma, the side of the highway should have been pooled with Presgrove's blood. Friends and family of the deceased also suspected that Noah didn't die where his battered body was found. There's a high chance that someone tortured him somewhere and then, after killing him, just threw his body at the side of the highway to rot.
Noah was covered up on the side of the road with the tarp, and it was just kind of a good 10 minutes just staring at fields, just and a loss of words, you know.
Dalen Presgrove, Noah's brother, had also shared the heart-wrenching sight he experienced upon arriving at the scene with his father. He explains how it was only a 30-minute ride, but felt like 2 hours with his dad sitting beside him and them being silent throughout the entire drive. The details of the scene that Noah's family and Hardy Tyler shared highlight that all his injuries were on the left side of his body for some unknown reason. Moreover, he had multiple bone fractures around the body, and even his teeth were missing, with some lying on the road where his body was found. The police circled those areas with chalk. It looked like Noah had been beaten both with a metal rod and hit by a car. But how is that even possible? Hardy shares how he stayed with Noah's body as the Oklahoma Petroleum Allies semi-truck that he was following turned around in Terrell about 2 miles ahead and returned to where he was. He added that both he and the truck driver then called off from their workplace and did not leave the scene until cops arrived. I called it in, and so did the truck driver. We were on the phone with them at the same time, he said. We did not leave the scene until around 10 a.m., and nobody was messing with anything. Hardy further explained how, after a few minutes of calling 911, a young man arrived at the scene and went straight to the dead body.
I ran over here, asked him if Noah was okay, and the semi-truck driver had his hands on Noah like this, and so I just kind of, and I could just tell, you know.
It was Jack Newton, Noah's best friend. Jack was the only person who walked up to Noah and identified him until the Jefferson County sheriffs showed up, Hardy said.
He just had his eyes closed, you know. And he had a cut on his forehead, like it wasn't just like terrible, it was just a cut on his forehead. The top of his hair was scraped off his head.
Jack, in his interview with the Daily Mail, shared further details of how the only blood at the scene was the little slowly coming out of his ears and the top of his head where his scalp had been torn up to the bone. Noah's best friend then called his father, Caleb Newton, to arrive at the scene at around 6:05 a.m., breaking the tragic news. Caleb took off immediately and reached the scene 40 minutes from his home in Comanche. The Oklahoma police arrived at 6:18 a.m., and before Caleb arrived, they had covered Noah's body with a tarp or sheet and taken the abandoned white shorts they found under custody. Noah's friend shared how he woke up to go fishing with his father that morning, but heard the news that his best friend was missing. According to him, no one worried about Noah's safety after he disappeared from the party, because he would usually walk out if something offended him. I figured maybe he got a ride or something. Noah's done that before, got mad and left. He was not one you usually worry about. I wasn't really thinking about it, he told the Daily Mail. The young man further shows the text messages he sent his father at around 5:53 a.m. to talk about their fishing plans. Around the same time, Hardy Tyler had called 911. When Jack drove north towards the lake, he saw a semi-truck and pickup truck oddly standing at the roadside. Jack got curious, but when he got down to inquire, he was met with the dead and beaten face of his best friend, whom he thought was fine.
Just yesterday, they produced an autopsy report listing Noah's cause of death as multiple blunt force injuries, perhaps from, are you ready? Unknown vehicle.
Oklahoma Chief Medical Examiner Leonardo Roquero shared that Noah died of multiple blunt force traumas, but they didn't know what caused them. There was one large skull fracture stretching across his head, splitting the middle base of the skull in two, and two smaller ones, with police investigators describing his head as being caved in. Roquero wrote that no vehicle parts or debris were observed on the scene, so there was no way he was hit by or thrown from a car. He further noted in his report that there was a drawing in black ink of a stick figure person on the side of the right thigh. Another disturbing fact was his shorts, which were found at the side of the road, were completely undamaged despite the scratches on his buttocks. Moreover, his slip-on mismatched shoes had grass and other debris lodged in them. At the time, although his blood alcohol level was 0.14, there was no sign of any drug in his system. That was the latest update about Noah Presgrove's strange case. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for checking this one out, and remember, stay safe out there.